Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Titagarh Wagons Q3 FY23 conference call hosted by ICICI Securities. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star and then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Ms. Asna. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you, Mike, and a very warm welcome to everyone. On behalf of ICICI Securities, I would like to welcome you all for the investor update call of Titagarh Wagons Limited. We will start the call with opening remarks from the management, post which we will have a Q&A session. I would now like to hand over the call to Mr. Pratish Chaudhary, Director, Marketing and Business Development, for his opening remarks. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Firstly, thank you very much for taking time out to be a part of this call. I'm very proud and very honored to share with all of you that this quarter the company has achieved its highest ever turnover at 766 crore rupees. Further, this quarter we have seen a 101% growth in total income as compared to the quarter of financial year 2022. In terms of EBITDA, the company has reported an EBITDA of 83 crores, which is a 75% growth from quarter 3 FY 2022. This year, there are also several drivers this quarter that have been announced and that the company is looking upon very favorably and with a lot of interest. Firstly, the railways have seen its highest ever budget allocation to the tune of 2.4 lakh crores. A lot of this budget will go into capital expenditure such as Vande Bharat train sets as well as freight wagons, both of which are areas of interest to the company. Secondly, this quarter the company has attained major successes through the supply of its first traction motor from the company's state-of-the-art facility in Uttarpada. This was accomplished in the month of November 2022, and this opens the potential to a huge market which can be tapped into and can also be used for the captive production of metro cars that the company is engaged in. This may also result in a substantial cost benefit for the company. Thirdly, the existing capacity that exists with the company of 700 wagons per month. Against that, we have already achieved the production of approximately 630 to 650 wagons per month. This is almost the entire assessed capacity as per the Indian Railways. We are, however, working towards increasing this capacity. Fourthly, the company has participated in the very prestigious and well-renowned Vande Bharat tender in November 2022. This tender was for the supply of 200 trains with a maintenance contract of 35 years as well. This contract will be awarded to the two lowest bidders in a ratio of 120 trains to 80 trains, and the estimated value, the total estimated value is to the tune of roughly 72,000 crores. The company is one out of 5 potential bidders in a consortium with BHEL, making the company the only truly Atmanirbhar consortium, as both the consortium partners are fully Indian. Further, as I mentioned earlier, with the new budget allocation that the railways has seen, the company also foresees further demand for these Vande Bharat train sets, therefore indicating a larger market that will be available in the near future and future opportunities for the company. Lastly, the company has also participated in a tender for forged wheel sets in partnership with Ramakrishna Forgings Limited, and we have submitted a joint bid in response to the Indian Railways a request for quotation. This will entail the company setting up a forged wheel manufacturing unit if the company is a successful bidder and wins the bid. The purpose of this bid will be to produce forged wheel sets in India for both the Indian market as well as the potential export market, as well as to reduce the dependence on imported wheel sets from countries like China and other foreign nations. As on date, the company has a standing order book of 10,130 crores with good subsequent visibility. Thank you very much, and I hand it back over to ICICI.
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer session. Participants who wish to ask a question may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. We have the first question on the line of Kunal Sheth from BNK Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations for a great set of numbers. My first question is pertaining to the wagons supply to Indian Railways. So you mentioned that we have reached about 650 wagons in terms of production, right? So what is our plan, going ahead in terms of where do we aspire to reach, over the next 2-3 months, given the schedule that we have in terms of supply?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for the question. So, as far as the capacity, according to which the orders were placed by the Indian Railway, was for 8,400 wagons per annum, which effectively means 700 wagons per month. As I had mentioned during the last conference call, that our target will be to achieve 700 wagons per month. We have not achieved that target as of now in the last quarter, but we are confident of, as was mentioned by Mr. Pritesh Chaudhary just now, that we have already touched 630 to 650 wagons in a month, not in the entire quarter, but in the last month of the quarter. And we are confident of being able to get to the 700 number in the next couple of months or so. And thereafter, we do intend to enhance it further to between 800 and 900 wagons. So, to answer your question, as far as the obligation or the contractual commitment to the Indian Railways, we would be in line with that in any case now. In terms of exceeding the commitment so that we have more capacity for either the private sector wagon demand or for getting additional share from the railways in future tenders, that is something which is work in progress, and we will report back to the market as soon as we are able to achieve that.
Sure, thank you for that. My second question is pertaining to the private wagon market. In your estimate, what would be the size of the private wagon market per annum, and what would be our share in the private wagon market?
So, historically, we have always maintained a good share in the private wagon market. As it has been mentioned in the presentation also, we have now an order book of almost 1,200 crores from private wagons, which is in itself a substantial, sizable order book, I would say. It's the highest ever order book for private wagon market that we have had in the history of the company. In terms of the total market size of the private wagons, it is not a very defined formula of the private wagon. The private wagon market depends upon the availability for wagons from the Indian Railways, the overall capital expenditure cycle from the private investors. But if we take a thumb rule, I would say about 15 to 20% of the overall wagon addition, or I would say anything between 10 to 20% of the overall wagon addition into the Indian fleet would happen from the private sector.
Sure. And sir, we mentioned the supply for traction motors from our factory, and also we have done a JV with RK Forging for the forged wheel. So if you can give us some sense about how large this market potentially could be, and what could be our play in this market in terms of size.
So both are completely different from each other. The first one is a part of the transit and propulsion vertical. We have mentioned, and in the last investor calls also I had mentioned that in the succeeding quarter, that is the Q3, we would intend to make the first sale from the propulsion division, which is what my colleague reported, that we have been able to do that. Equipment order execution, the prototype has been supplied for the traction motor. The propulsion division has two advantages. One is a strategic advantage, which will be useful to reduce our cost of production for the metro coaches and for the trains that we produce. And on the other side, the market advantage, which is an export and domestic market for both propulsion equipment as well as traction motor. We believe that the market size is quite large. I mean, there are companies doing business worth thousands of crores in propulsion and electrical business, which is including the traction converter and traction motor, etc. And we have begun in a small manner, but we do intend to become an important and a significant player in this segment. As far as the forged wheel is concerned, this is a tender that we have participated, and this is more by way of an information which is being shared with the market. This is not a project which has already been taken up. Winning the tender, a project will be taken up. So we would not be able to estimate the impact of this project on our financials or our immediate future financials unless we have a result of this tender which is favorable towards us.
Sure, correct, sir. And so, my last question is pertaining to our capex. Can you help me with what kind of capex do we, envisage over the next 3 years?
So we had already announced this in the last call also that including the capex that has already been spent in the last 2-3 years, we expect that for completing the entire projects that we have in hand, that is likely to take another 4.5 or 5 years. The total capex estimated is about 1,000 crore. Having said that, our company has always tried to optimize wherever possible, and if the capex is spent not on the basis of a top-down approach but a bottoms-up approach, which is effectively to achieve the capacity target. For example, to illustrate, the wagon capacity of 650 to 700 wagons that we have achieved with very limited amount of capex. And if we really look at the replacement cost or a greenfield cost for setting up that kind of a capacity, or even the incremental capacity that we have achieved, it would be far higher than the capex that we have spent. So the capex that we have incurred in the last 3 years is about 300 odd crores, including the development of some of the product intellectual properties, etc. And we expect that over the next 5 years, 4.5, 5 years, we should, including the 300, we should be spending about 1,000 crores.
Sure. And sir, would it be possible roughly to give a sense of where this capex will be split, as in what projects and what division?
The 3 divisions. We are only operating in the 3 divisions: the passenger, transit and propulsion, the freight, and SBD, which is shipbuilding, bridges and defense. So we will not be able to give you the breakup of the numbers, but it is on an overall, since all 3 divisions are a part of the same company, and we do have some capacities and facilities which are interfungible between the divisions. Therefore, I will not be able to give you the breakup of the 3 verticals.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, and best of luck for the future quarter.
Thank you. We have the next question on the line of Sarvesh Gupta from Maximal Capital. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir, and thanks a lot for taking my questions. So, firstly, on the cost...
Mr. Gupta, your audio is not very clear. If you could go off the speakerphone once.
Yeah. Is it better now?
Yes.
Yeah. So first question is on the gross margin profile. So I guess this quarter, your gross profit as well as the other competitors' gross profit has come down on a quarter-to-quarter basis. So are there some, material pressures that we are seeing to fulfill this current contract of the Indian Railways, or because this is slightly counterintuitive because raw material prices have generally been on a downward trend, or is it because of some contract specific sort of the requirement that your margins are a little bit lower on this contract? So that's my first question.
So as far as our contracts are concerned, sir, most of our contracts are with a price variation clause, which effectively are, which mean that the increase or decrease in raw material prices are passed on either which way. So when there is a decrease in commodity pricing, the benefit of that is passed on to the customer, and when there is an increase in commodity or raw material prices, we are reimbursed for that increase or decrease. Having said that, on a quarter-to-quarter basis, I have always maintained that our EBITDA margin that we can expect is between 8 and 10%, and in the current quarter also we have done 10.7% of margin, including or EBITDA margin, including the other income. If we exclude the other income, still we are at about 9.48%. So we are pretty much in line with our target. I would not be able to speak about competition, but I can speak for ourselves that as far as we are concerned, we are pretty much on target. As regards the comparative EBITDA margins of previous quarters, I have also mentioned that quarterly comparison of EBITDA margin in our sector will not give a very, very reflective picture because we execute many contracts. Some have a higher margin, some have a lower margin. And when we speak about our targeted margin levels, we talk about a blended margin of different contracts. So as far as the expected margin guidelines are concerned, we maintain that we would be able to keep a sustainable EBITDA margin of between 8 and 10%, and there is no pressure on the margins for the reasons I explained just now.
So generally, in a manufacturing setup, when you are aiming for almost now from a very low capacity utilization, you are going for a very high utilization of almost 100%. There is an element of fixed cost, employee cost, corporate overheads involved. So shouldn't you sort of expect your EBITDA margins to grow, and grow beyond the traditional band of 8 to 10%? Or when you take up such a large order, you sort of sacrifice your gross margin in a way that it comes back to your normalized margins? Because otherwise, because you have fixed costs and also ideally it should increase, right? It should not be in the same range as it was when your utilization was far lower than this.
It's a very good academic discussion, but I don't think that I'll be able to answer that. I would be only saying that when we do our there is always a trade-off in a tender of trying to get volumes versus trying to get margins and balancing the two. So in the whole picture, we are able to position ourselves that we have been consistently the market leaders, and in order to be the market leaders, sometimes one has to take a strategic pricing policy.
Understood. Now, in terms of your capex plan of 1,000 crores over the next 4-5 years, even at the current profitability, this would mean almost 4 years of EBITDA or more than that. So, how are you planning to fund it? Because this would again, be slightly heavy on the balance sheet. Even a 250 crore per year sort of a capex, given the current scale, is sort of, not. It will lead to no generation of the cash as such. So how do you look at cash generation and how do you look at this big capex of 1,000 odd crores?
I mentioned that this is a capex over 8-year period, so it's about on an average 150 crores, and this is an approximate number which will be based on projects that we are able to undertake. Many of them are project capexes, so the cost can be charged to the project itself. So, of course, the company has maintained a very prudent policy. We have reduced our debt significantly to become a net zero debt company, long-term debt company, and I can only say that the company maintains a very prudent and conservative policy in terms of overcommitting or leveraging itself.
Understood, sir. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you. Participants who wish to ask a question may press star and one on your touchtone telephone. Participants who wish to ask a question may press star and one on your touchtone telephone. We have the next question on the line of Parvez Qazi from Nuvama Group. Please go ahead.
Hi. Good afternoon, sir. Congrats for a great set of numbers, and thanks for taking my question. So couple of questions from my side. Would be great if you could update us about the status of the Pune Metro order and also the CRRC order.
Sure. As far as the, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, as far as the Pune Metro is concerned, we have already executed, delivered up to 15 trains, and out of 34, and we are well on track to deliver the complete number of trains within the first half of the next financial year. As far as the Bangalore CRRC project is concerned, the facility setting up of the stainless steel line is already underway. We have already ordered all the major equipments, and we intend to start production in the second quarter or maximum the third quarter of this year, of the coming financial year. So either the second quarter or the third quarter of the coming financial year, we will start delivering the coaches.
Sure. And couple of questions for Anilji. Sir, what is our current gross debt and net debt for the Indian entity?
Hi, Parvez, for this side. So the net debt for the Indian entity is basically the working capital debt. So the net debt is at 160 crores as of December. And no, and the gross minus 100 something. Just 1 second, Parvez. I'll just give you the gross number.
Sure.
Maybe we can move on with the question. He's just come back to the answer.
Sure. And what is the current order book in Firema, and how do we see that performance going ahead?
As far as Firema is concerned, we've already said that the numbers are not consolidated in the parent balance sheet, in the Titagarh Wagon balance sheet. But having said that, Titagarh Wagon owns 49% shares in Firema, and the order book in Titagarh Firema is close to 500 million euros. And the performance is starting to improve now. The new contract for the Lazio is also under production. We expect that the production of the targeted production of Titagarh Firema will be achieved in the first quarter of the coming financial year. That is, from April onwards, we should be seeing the targeted level of production in Titagarh Firema also.
Sure. And lastly, would it be possible to get a breakup of the order book segment-wise among the freight, passenger, and the shipbuilding, bridges, and defense segments?
It has already been given in the page 4 of the presentation.
It's in page 4.
Unfortunately, we don't have access to the presentation.
Okay, so I'll just, it's been uploaded, but we'll again send it across.
Sure.
I can share the numbers with you. It is 8,600 for freight business, 1,176 for passenger rolling stock, and 341 for BSV.
Sure. Thanks and all the best for future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have the next question on the line of Sanjay Avatarami from Amara Capital. Please go ahead. Mr. Sanjay, can you hear us?
Yeah. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Sir, almost all my questions have been answered, but
I can't hear you,
Yes.
Sanjay.
Sanjay, if you could go off the speakerphone, we are unable to hear you very well.
hello, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, much better.
Yeah, it's better, yes. Sorry, we weren't able to hear you before.
Yeah. This order book which you mentioned of 10,000 crore, what is the timeline to the execution for executed this order book of 1,130 crores?
So different orders have different schedules of execution, but on an average basis, I would say this has to be executed in the next 2.5 to 3 years at the most.
Okay, 2.5 to 3 years.
That's right.
And if I may request that if you could provide me the breakup, I think I lost my line when you were giving the breakup of this order book.
So it's there in the investor presentation also, but I will repeat it for you. It's 8,600 crores for the freight wagon rolling stock, 1,176 crore for the passenger rolling stock, and 340 crores for the shipbuilding, which is in the defense.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this, and good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We have the next question on the line of Akshay Kothari from Invigilant Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. So when is the Vande Bharat award expected to be out? Any delays on that front?
Unfortunately not. It's a tendering process. So, the tender was submitted on the end of November, 30th of November, I believe. And normally such large tenders take time for evaluation, technical evaluation, and so on and so forth. But I would just like to add that this is a tender for 200 Vande Bharat, as was mentioned by my colleague Pritesh. And the overall requirement that has been, including the current budget announcement, is for 1,000 Vande Bharat trains. So I believe that the opportunity for this segment is quite substantial, and our company is very uniquely positioned for several reasons. Number one, we are the only Indian company, and in fact the only company in India which has facilities for both aluminium and stainless steel coaches. Once we have implemented the line in the next couple of quarters for the Bangalore Metro CRRC project, we would have the stainless steel facility also. So while we are very keenly awaiting the results of the current tender, I would also like to mention that there are adequate opportunities that we foresee coming up in this passenger train segment, whether it is in terms of trains, which is like MRVC or Vande Bharat, or metros like Bangalore and Chennai, etc.
Okay. That's great, sir. And what is the current situation of rail wheel sets? If you can throw some light on it.
So railway wheel sets, you said, right?
Yeah, rail wheel availability of rail wheel sets. I guess
railway wheel sets are hand to mouth with the railways, because the capacity is the wagon production has gone up, and the wheel set capacity also has gone up, but not on the same line. So, but having said, always maintain that there can be pressures from time to time, but on an overall basis, the railways have done a brilliant job in planning the availability of wheel sets. And as we can see, the railways are also doing future planning. I mean, it's in fact an interesting point that you raised, because if we kind of look at the planning of the railways, that the tender that they have floated, whoever wins the tender, whether it is our consortium or anybody else, the fact is the railway is going to give a guaranteed offtake for 20 years for 80,000 wheels per annum, which kind of sets the tone of what they're planning for the rolling stock market. So the railways have been doing their homework extremely well, exceptionally well, I would say, and have been planning the wheel sets also, and have continued to do that for the future requirement.
Okay. That's great. So now that we have deconsolidated the Italian subsidiary, Italian associate, I would rather say. So I'm assuming that there won't be any qualifications as such as in FY22 audit report. So, and just to know, because it was not very much clear, what was that material element which led to this qualification, and to continue currently, what is the debt in the Italian subsidiary? I understand it is already deconsolidated, but still, I think the land, the Bharatpur land, is still pledged. So that hence the question.
Yeah, so that's right. I mean, it is deconsolidated, and we've already disclosed all the facts in our results. So I think all the details are available in the results. In terms of there is, I didn't understand about your point on qualification. I don't think there are.
Ma'am, there is no qualification on the standalone financial statements. Hello.
Yeah, but there was a qualification on the consolidated part, right?
Yeah, there is only a consolidation on the consolidated financials, and that too also it is relating to the consolidation of the Firema results on a management, prepared on a management basis, which is...
we have already clarified
that in the results. So the standalone is clean.
Okay, so what is the current debt at Firema?
So the current debt, the net debt at Firema is at 333 crores, and the gross debt is at around 640 or 50 odd crores.
Okay. And one more, in the other expense in FY22, there were some irrecoverable claims of around 23 crores. So, what was that actually?
In which? You're talking about which quarter?
I'm talking about the annual report, FY22.
FY22, okay.
Yeah. So, are these on the private side or?
No, I don't think so. I mean, what we can do is, if you agree, because we can discuss about the quarter, and then you can.
So I actually tried to reach out a lot of times through even the IR Churchgate partner, but I think we could not fix up a meeting, so that's why I have to have. Anyways, we can take it offline then. Okay.
We'll make sure my colleague here, Devesh Singhania, will ensure that he reaches out to you.
Okay. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Rajesh Bhandari, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Rather good evening. And the results given are excellent. And will we be able to keep the increase in the turnover in the same way that we have been doing?
Good evening, sir. Thank you very much. And yes, it is our endeavor to continue to do that. We have a good runway ahead of us. We have good visibility. We have been able to ramp up. If you really look at the company in 5 years, 4.5, 5 years ago, we were at an annual revenue of 300 crores.
Yeah.
Now we are at a quarterly revenue of 766 crore. Yeah. So from 75 to 766 on a quarterly basis, let us say. So obviously, there has been a journey that has been traveled, and we are very confident, and we are very committed to continue with this journey.
So, matlab 23-24, we can expect turnover would be more than 3,500 crores.
I would not be able to give you any forward-looking numbers, but I can only say that the runway ahead of us is clear. We have a good visibility. We have an order book of 10,100 crores. So yes, definitely our company and the entire team is committed towards achieving execution of these and additional orders that we are able to procure during this time.
सर ये रेलवे का इस साल जो दिया है इन्होंने अगले सालों में भी देंगे, जिस हिसाब से जो बजट दे रहे हैं तो रेलवे की जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स है वो बहुत जबरदस्त यूज होगी. तो वो सारे ऑर्डर्स जैसे आपने BHEL वगैरह के साथ में भी किया है और दूसरे RK Forging के साथ में भी कर रहे हैं. डू वी हैव द कैपेसिटी टू एग्जीक्यूट सच ऑर्डर्स इन टाइम?
Definitely, sir. I mean, the Indian industry is very capable, very competent. The problem that used to remain was lack of visibility, and the government now is taking up long-term plans. अब रेलवे ने अब 2030 की अपनी जो विजन को पब्लिश किया है कि 1000 मिलियन टन ट्रैफिक वो कैरी करेंगे, जिसके लिए उन्हें काफ़ी मात्रा में रोलिंग स्टॉक की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी और काफ़ी मात्रा में ज़रूरत पड़ेगी. तो इंडियन इंडस्ट्री, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट आवरसेल्व्स अलोन, बट इंडियन इंडस्ट्री एज अ होल इज फुली geared up to
वो मैं समझ रहा हूँ सर. मैं कहना चाह रहा हूँ कि जैसे टीटागढ़ वैगन है, तो इतनी जो जबरदस्त इट इज अ गॉड सेंट अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर एनी रेलवे रिलेटेड कंपनी. तो विल बी एबल टू, मतलब अपन जिस हिसाब से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं और जिस हिसाब से सामने ऑर्डर्स दिख रहे हैं कि भाई आ सकते हैं, अपने पास में एग्जीक्यूट करने के लिए फाइनेंशियल कैपेबिलिटी, द प्लेस ऑल्सो एंड द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, वो सब के लिए वी आर गियर्ड अप.
Absolutely, that's exactly what I was saying, sir. We are fully geared up.
ओके, बिकॉज जैसे वंदे भारत वगैरह सारा सब जो आप बता रहे हैं, तो वो तो बहुत बहुत सारी मतलब ट्रेन है सर. अच्छा, बाय द वे टॉकिंग ऑन वंदे भारत, तो अपना जो ये फ्रेट के लिए जो रोलिंग है सर, उसमें मार्जिन 10% है, बट पैसेंजर रोलिंग जो है उसमें मार्जिन इज ओनली 3%, जैसे आपके उसमें देखा मैंने रिजल्ट्स में.
बिल्कुल, दैट इज बिकॉज दिस इज अ स्टार्टअप बिजनेस फॉर अस. वी हैव जस्ट स्टार्टेड अप दिस थिंग. Our capacity for I think this is a very interesting question that you have asked, sir. आपने जो कैपेसिटी की बात की, मैंने कहा था फ्रेट में हमारी ऑलरेडी 700 के करीब की कैपेसिटी है.
जी हाँ,
जहाँ तक ट्रांजिट की हमारी आज के दिन कैपेसिटी अभी है 20 कोचेस महीने बनाने की, जो कि अभी क्योंकि हम स्टार्टअप फेज में हैं, अभी तक हमने 15 ट्रेनें बनाई हैं. तो अगर आप उसको एक्स्ट्रापोलेट करते हैं तो 1-1.5 ट्रेन या 5-6 कोच ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा महीने की बन पाई हैं. तो जैसे ही हम अपनी कैपेसिटी को यूटिलाइज कर पाएंगे एटलीस्ट 70-75% तक, तो इन द मार्जिन विल इम्प्रूव.
तो अपनी कैपेसिटी जो है 20 कोच पर मंथ.
That's right. Right now it is 20 coaches per month, and with the addition of the stainless steel line and all of that, our target is to enhance this capacity to 40 coaches per month.
40 कोचेज, बिकॉज जिस हिसाब से आप बता रहे हैं 1000-1200 ट्रेन आ रही है वंदे भारत की. और सर इसमें अपना जो डिफेंस एंड शिपिंग वाला जो है, शिप बिल्डिंग, दैट मार्जिन इज मच बेटर इफ आई सी ऑन दैट स्मॉल वैल्यू 15%. तो इसकी तरफ अपन ज़्यादा बढ़ाने का नहीं सोच रहे हैं सर?
Again, it is a question, as I mentioned in a question asked by a previous gentleman, that margin का जो percentage है, that is a right equilibrium that has to be struck between volume and profitability.
Right. वो मैं समझ रहा हूँ सर. मतलब मेरा ये सोच था.
In some of the businesses there, जब हम उसमें भी वॉल्यूम इंक्रीज करने जाएंगे तो मार्जिन हो सकता है ये चीज मेंटेन ना कर पाए.
ओके. और सर ये एनसीएलटी वाला स्टेटस क्या है? दैट चैप्टर इज क्लोज नाउ?
यस, दैट चैप्टर इज क्लोज्ड.
मतलब अभी एनसीएलटी का कोई डर नहीं है, नहीं तो जब सुनते हैं तो थोड़ा धक होता है सर दिल में. अच्छा सर, ये इटली वाला जो है सर, हाँ,
अब धक करने की जरूरत नहीं है, वो चैप्टर क्लोज.
और सर ये जो इटली वाला जो है वो हर क्वार्टर में कुछ न कुछ लॉस दिखाया जाता है, तो ये कितने टाइम तक चलेगा सर?
आज के दिन, as we have explained in our notes to the account, the total investment in the books of Titagarh Wagon, investment value in the books of Titagarh Wagon in the Italian associate stands at 3 crore 70 lakh rupees.
103 crores?
No, 3 crore 70 lakhs.
ओके.
3 करोड़ 70 लाख.
हाँ सर, हाँ. तो मतलब ये अगले क्वार्टर से कोई वहाँ का इटली का लॉस का कुछ आएगा नहीं इधर?
Up to 3 crore 70 lakhs is the downside potential.
हाँ, वो 3 करोड़ 70 तो ठीक है सर. वो तो एक क्वार्टर में आया, खत्म हो गया, मामला खत्म, चैप्टर क्लोज, है ना सर? हेलो.
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल. आई मीन आई डिस्क्लोज नंबर्स, और उसके बाद इंटरप्रिटेशन तो सब आप निकाल सकते हैं.
हाँ, नहीं ठीक है. 3 करोड़ दैट इज नथिंग, नॉट 3 करोड़, दैट्स ओके. नहीं ठीक है सर, बहुत अच्छा है. रिजल्ट बहुत बढ़िया थे आपके, और ऐसे ही आगे बढ़ते रहें.
थैंक यू.
ओके, थैंक यू सर.
We have the next question on the line of Panjul Agarwal from Green Portfolio Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Sir, first thing that I want to know is what is the current bidding pipeline?
I'm sorry, I could not hear your question properly, ma'am. Could you repeat?
Yeah. So my question is, so what is our current bidding pipeline?
And we have a very large bidding pipeline. We would not be able to disclose the exact number of tenders for competitive reasons, but the number of tenders for all the divisions that we continue to bid are quite substantial.
Okay. So actually, one thing I was really concerned about was that the share of losses of joint ventures and associates has increased sharply to 7.36 crores in this quarter. So actually, it seems like Italian operations are still bleeding. So would you like to comment on that?
Ma'am, as far as the Italian operations bleeding is concerned, as I explained in the previously, is now an associate, and the accounting that is done for the company is on equity method basis. For the, I would say that the Italian operations have also started picking up very well. The losses have started coming down. We are very hopeful that the company will stop or will turn EBITDA positive in the coming quarter, in the Q4 of the current financial year, and going forward, it will be able to turn around. Having said that, as far as the standalone Titagarh Wagon is concerned, our risks have been kind of capped, downside has been capped.
Yes, sir, I do understand that. So, like, is there any expenditure due to which the losses are incurring in the Italian subsidiary, or the revenues, are we not able to generate revenues on that? Also, the legacy contracts are over, I guess, right?
Almost over. That's exactly why the losses have started to come down. But there are some, which were pending, which are getting over. These are all contracts which are very old. So they kind of have, there is always the tail end of the storm, as they say, which continues. But now, more or less, they are all over.
Okay. And what is the operation?
Also, that has been done in the company. A couple of sites have been merged into the parent site. Number of people have been reduced. Fixed costs have been reduced. The management restructuring has been done. So a lot of action has been taken in order to bring back that company into health. And we believe, based on all the actions and the current status and the European market, which is also picking up, that the company should be able to stand on its feet and start delivering positive results in not so distant future.
Okay. Okay. And so what is the operational status of Palta Shipyard?
Palta Shipyard, we have only acquired the facility, and I had mentioned this in my several interactions, that this is an infrastructure that we are keeping it prepared. Our focus, our allocation of resources would first continue towards the first two verticals, and then only we would take up the third engine to our growth. So the first two engines of our growth should be fully fired, which is the freight rolling stock and the passenger rolling stock. And after that, we will take up the third one, which is the SBD, on full traction. Till that time, we will continue to strengthen ourselves in that segment, but not allocate too much of resources while keeping ourselves ready.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Participants who wish to ask a question may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. Participants are requested to kindly restrict your question to 2 per participant due to time constraint. Participants are requested to kindly restrict your questions to 2 per participant due to time constraint. We have the next question on the line of Ankur Kumar from Alpha Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thank you for taking my questions. Sir, most of my questions have been answered. Just question on the passenger rolling segment. You said there is around 1,100 crore type of order book. So can you comment on execution timeline for this business?
Sure, sir. As I mentioned, that most of these orders are between 2.5 to 3 years, and the same is the situation for the passenger rolling stock. All the orders that we have in hand should be executed in the next 30 months at the most.
But sir, in terms of, if I look at quarterly segmental business, we are doing 150 crore type revenue per quarter. Is that correct? And it will take 2 years to complete this 1100 crore?
Right now, what we are doing, yes, is about the amount that is mentioned there. But as I mentioned, that this is in the ramp-up phase. We are now producing just about one and a half trains per month. We will ramp it up to 15 to 20 cars in the next couple of years. Within that.
Sure, sir. And on Vande Bharat, you said it is a 72,000 crore opportunity. And even if we can win the smaller one, then also it's quite substantial.
It is the opportunity, and of course it's a tender business. So we do not know whether we will be the successful bidders or not. So we have just disclosed that what we have participated in, and we have also explained that this is the 200 train tender. There are announcements to add on several more trains. So whether this or the other, we believe that there is a very large opportunity in the Vande Bharat segment that exists for a company like ours.
And sir, I heard the number correct, 72,000 crore?
It would be around that much. I mean, this is just an approximate. It could be anything 10% plus minus or 15% plus minus.
Sure, sir. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you. We have the next question on the line of Kunal N from Alpha Invesco. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I just wanted to ask, can you just give me the update on the propulsion system business? I mean, we were with partnership with ABB and all, and you said that you do get the orders, but it's not completely operational on regular basis. So can you just give update on what is happening in propulsion system? That's all. Thank you.
Sure. I just mentioned that we made our first dispatches for the propulsion system, which is for the traction motor in the last quarter. This is a very, I would say, very key business to our overall plans and strategy. It is not yet fully operational because we are in the developmental stage, but we believe that in the coming financial year, we should be in execution stage when there are prototype approval testing period. So the real commercial advantage of this vertical for the propulsion will start coming in from FY24-25.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Anand Venugopal from BMSPL Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I just forgive me if I joined the call late, so forgive me if this is already. So I just want to know when do we kind of expect more rolling stock orders from the government to achieve the target set in the national rate plan? How much more does the government need to order? So these are the two questions which I have.
So as far as thank you, sir. So as far as the tenders are concerned, the tenders are mostly on an annual basis. Last year, the tenders were floated where we got 24,000 wagons. We expect that new tenders should also get floated sometime in the coming financial year. So I would say in the time horizon of April to October, because the railways have placed an order for the next 2.5 years, and now the orders which will be placed will be on top of that. So either for higher offtake or for furthering up to 2030 on the national rail plan. The orders that they have placed will get executed by FY25. So the railways are planning to kind of work backwards to ensure that the target of 2030 is met by way of additional rolling stock that is planned for the entire period of time.
Okay.
We believe, however, that based on our estimates and based on whatever we read, that the railways, in order to achieve that, should be adding around 30,000 freight wagons per year at a minimum.
Okay. All good. Yeah. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Bhavya Sonawala from Samasa Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Just again on the traction motors, We had, I think, supplied a few of the prototypes. Just wanted to know, has there been any response? And basically just trying to understand, do you see this forming a decent part of our contributing to the revenue? If any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So we've supplied the prototype, and we will hear about this is a process that has to be gone through. It doesn't get done so quickly. It takes time. But having said that, this is I mentioned a little while ago, this is both commercially and strategically a very important part of our strategy.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. We have the next question on the line of Alicia M. from Invision Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. So I understand that the current railway order, 24,000 wagons, 3 years, we were supposed to hit the 700 wagons a month number to be able to supply it in the 33 months. It's almost been 8-9 months, and just get to hit that number. We did about 650 last month. Is there a delay, or do we still believe that we will be able to achieve it in the timeline that was earlier defined of 33 months?
Ma'am, I can only say that we are running ahead of schedule at this point of time.
And is that because the incremental capacity will also first go, because like we mentioned earlier in the call, we are expecting to increase the capacity to 800-900 wagons, and that will help us cover up this run rate?
No, we are already running ahead of schedule. As we speak today, we are already running ahead of the contractual schedule.
Okay, sure. And just what you were mentioning to the previous participant, that the next round will come, say, in the next financial year, say in the next quarter. Will the delivery or execution of that also be expected to start immediately, or will this order first have to be executed before that can come up in the pipeline?
That is for us, this has to be seen, but normally we expect that the deliveries will be in continuation with the current contractual deliveries. But we will have to wait and watch what the tender says, because we will not be able to kind of pre-guess the tender conditions, but logically we believe that it should be in continuation with the current delivery schedules.
And the capex that we have outlined currently looks enough, so we'll probably have to revisit it once the new tender is out.
We are already working on increasing our capacities. I mentioned this in the beginning of the call, and so did my colleague Pritesh Chaudhary, that we are almost at our previously assessed capacity, and now our target is to further enhance that capacity. We should be able to do that in the coming financial year.
Sorry, in the coming
financial year.
Okay, sure. Okay. Thank you so much, and best of luck.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Ram Chakravarti, an investor. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for taking my question, and I congratulate you for the excellent set of numbers. Most of the questions have been answered, but if I may ask one thing, with your experience, logically, can you kindly guess that this Vande Bharat tender, if we get it, means sometime in FY24, the tender is going to come out, something like that? Can you just please guess if it comes out? Okay. Am I audible now better? Anything? Hello?
Just put on mute, sir. I think the static which is coming from your connection. But in terms of, thank you for your wishes and your compliments. Means a lot to us. And as far as the upcoming tenders are concerned, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, for me to make any guesses. What we can only speak about is the overall announcements that have been made by the railways, and that the fact that the railways announcement to implementation time has been on a remarkable trajectory, or the track record of the railway has been very, very positive in the current government. So we expect that the execution of the announcement should happen quite fast.
So the participant is no longer in queue. I would now like to hand it over to the management for closing comments.
So thank you for a very interesting set of questions, and thank you for your time, everybody, to join in on the call. It's been always a great pleasure and very informative interacting. Some of the questions which lead us to a lot of thought processes. We do hope to continue this run, I would say, to continue to grow the operations. And as I mentioned several times, we have a good runway ahead of us, and we have been able to build up the team and the facilities to grow the operation. And we look forward to continue to having your support and your participation like we have had in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of ICICI Securities, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thanks.